Little cold this morning. Time for the all-star political panel. Bruce is traveling, visiting family and friends, and we're Barb, Bruce, Merry Christmas. Rick, Jane, you're here. How are you?
I'm full of gabagobulan.
Gabagobulan. I can't even say.
Gamma-globulin.
Lonnie said if you're going to say it, at least get it right, man.
Oh, listen to you.
I'll take that. You know, the way we're seated this morning, you look like two people on a game show. Contestants.
Oh, we're opposite.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at that. Yeah. Oh, it's so
The
Oh, that's
newlywed game.
yin and yang.
The oldie-wed game.
So, what is big in the news other than Bernie came out as a white guy last night? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, Bernie came out as white. So, did anybody, Rick, Jane?
Exactly how?
Also, I know. Did you watch the debate?
No, God, no.
Did you?
No.
No.
No,
0 for
we're
3.
gonna
Did
watch.
anybody?
We're
Do you
gonna
think-
watch.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're
Do you
just
think
gonna
it-
watch this today and get the high points.
Do you think America cares?
No.
No.
I really don't.
I don't. I mean, I see the.
I read the, all I did was read the cover story on Fox this morning, winners and losers.
Yeah, I mean, I got a little of that.
Marianne Mushmouth was...
Buttigieg and Warren got into it over fundraising, and
That's
and
fascinating.
they got into it a little bit. He accused her of moving her money from her Senate campaign over to
Getting dirty.
her presidential campaign, and supposedly he had a fundraiser in a wine cave with $900 a bottle of wine.
Right.
She attacked him.
Buttigieg?
Yeah,
Yep.
the boy that would be king.
Oh gosh, I'll tell you, Martha McCallum was fabulous. She interviewed.
She was
Barr.
good. She was
I mean,
good.
that
Cindy and I
interview
listened to that
was
on the radio coming back from the airport last night. It was good.
excellent interview with
The
Barr.
interview with Barr.
Oh,
I didn't watch that last night.
It was really
No,
good.
I was, no,
yeah,
I
you
didn't.
got to. I mean, because need to see his face, how his emotions. You can just see him creeping out. Like someone said, it was hard for him to hide his glee at what he knows is coming.
Why
Are
do you think?
okay with Barr these days?
I love the guy.
Yeah.
Do you?
Love
do you?
the guy.
Do you? What was your takeaway with the interview last night? And why do you think he's doing media? Why do you think he's doing interviews with the Attorney General William Barr we're talking about?
Why is he doing interviews? That's I don't know, to set the record straight from his perspective, because there's so many antichrists coming out, like the McCabe's and the Comeys, and the ones that probably have a lot to fear.
What say you?
I say that it's just they've decided it's just mandatory that he come out because all of these lies and everything are ridiculous. And I don't think in an ordinary fair situation he would have to, but he has got to give us a little confidence that somebody is really doing something. And most of his answers, Martha had to ask him these things, or I would have asked him, knowing he wasn't going to answer them.
Right.
But he answered quite a few, and one I couldn't believe he answered, but he would give you little, I really can't comment on that. Do you think Giuliani is overstepping your bounds, but he did make a comment on that and said, well, I don't know, but I'll tell you, it'd be better if they just left everything to the, Department of Justice. He just and then he has a little smile. But he's saying, look, she said, is this a criminal thing? Yes, this is a criminal. Durham is a criminal. We're a criminal. Are there crimes being investigated? Yes, there are. See, that is telling us we're not patsies, that we're believing in this for a reason and it's real. That's my take.
She said,
didn't you feel better?
Yeah,
after
she
that?
said to him.
What do you say about?
Well, she said to him specifically, "Are you going to look at the evidence that Mayor Giuliani has?" He said, "We will look at all the evidence, not just his."
All the
In other words, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to.
Damn right, I'll be looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people going down that road. I didn't get a chance to watch last night the interview, but reading articles. Durham criminal investigation zeroes in on Brennan communications with Comey.
Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
They're going for all of his,
Oh, he's a traitor. He's a communist, signed up communist.
I think
He
they're
is-
all traitors. I think Clapper is.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think Brennan is the worst.
Brennan
Brennan is really
and
despicable.
Obama are pretty up there.
Yeah, but I like my president will tweet out, Obama knew everything. He will tweet out, Obama knew everything.
It said that in the text messages.
POTUS
POTUS
wants-
is calling the shots.
POTUS wants to know everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
Man, I tell you. So I am so encouraged today. I mean, I've always believed that they wouldn't successfully impeach him. And there's so many things I've read. He's not really impeached until they send it to the Senate. He's not impeached yet. Now, I don't know if that's right or wrong.
I
That
think
was
the
on tweet.
worst thing that could have happened.
There's
For the
I don't
Democrats.
want to interrupt you, but the
I-
thing
I wanna-
is
I wanna
there's
follow up on this.
impeachment and removal. There's
wanna-
the second part. Go ahead, Rick.
I think the worst thing that happened overnight for the Democrats
Excuse me.
was this Dr. Noah Feldman, the Democrat constitutionalist that they brought in, has come out and said specifically, there is no impeachment at all until the House managers physically come to the Senate and say, here are the
what I
articles
read.
of impeachment, and it's now your job to hold the trial. There is no impeachment right now,
That's what I
according
read.
to their own experts.
Until it moves over.
Until
It moves over and
officially
delivered by the
and
managers. And Pelosi
Right.
specifically said, I'm not going to appoint any managers until I get the lay of the land here."
Right, till I know what the other side's
Well, guess
doing.
what? It's not your decision.
So
Noah Feldman. That's the guy that sat in the first chair.
Yeah. Well, and as far as somebody was on a radio show last night. I was driving home, and I forget, is it Mark Simone? Is that his name?
Who?
Mark Simone, is that his name? He's a radio guy.
I'm not familiar.
Anyhow, but
Sorry.
he was filling in for somebody, and it was just on the radio, and a caller, called.
Oh,
in.
Mark, he was filling in for Hannity yesterday,
Yeah,
wasn't
I
he?
think so. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So, but the
He wasn't there last night.
it has to move over to the Senate, and it has to move over to the Senate, and Nancy doesn't want to move it over to the Senate without knowing exactly what's going on and naming the managers, like you said. But the impeachment, a caller called in and he said, you know what, whether you agree with this or not, if you're a young person, he encouraged people to study the system. This is one time you get an opportunity to really study how things work. And I'm amazed, I don't know, I'm amazed at how many people don't understand how it works.
Let me tell you what I heard. It was, who sat in for Hannity last night?
Chaffetz.
Yeah, Chase. I love that guy. He said, well, you know how I feel about Mitch McConnell. But he said, McConnell, I've known him for a long time, and he was
We
explaining.
don't know how you feel.
He was explaining how the system worked. And
Right.
here's what he said. He said, you've got the Senate is the end product that will keep everything from going crazy, just like it's going now. They're the stopper. He said, imagine that the cup is the House and the saucer is the Senate. So when it gets going crazy like this and the House spills out some coffee, the Senate is
My
here.
cup runneth over.
Well, yeah. then the Senate is the saucer that catches all that crap and stops it right there. It's what they're doing now. And I also read that if they don't take the articles over in XYZ, I don't even know, that the Senate can call it null and void. The Senate can say, it's over. It's nullified.
There's only a few specific rules. Excuse me. There's only a few specific rules that are written. That's why the House was able to pull all the crap that they wanted to pull.
Yeah.
I listened to two guys who who I respect a lot in what they say, and that's Saul Weinberg and Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, he was on a roll.
And they both said the same thing yesterday. They both said that there aren't a lot of rules written around what happens when it comes to the Senate. There are some specifics as to, like, the House shall do this and the Senate shall do that. But if Pelosi decides, like you said, not to hand over because she wants to savor the moment as long as she can, the Senate can just say, you know what?
Right. Can you
Gone,
imagine?
null and void. And they both said that.
Yes.
And I don't think, Saul especially doesn't spout off stuff that he's not pretty darn sure about, nor does Rush.
I think I read that on Mark Levin said that too. That's where I got on an interview.
But that's
with
another guy
somebody.
that I respect a
Yeah.
lot.
So you think, why isn't she doing it the obvious and everyone's saying because there's no case? They're scared. They don't even have anyone to. But in their stupidity, which is obvious, I mean, they have, their masks are off. They are dunces. These people are stupid, Q likes to say, and they are. She might be thinking, well, we're going to get into 2020 and we're going to keep this going, keep the public all like this and keep it going. And now she may not be able to. So
She's going to try to keep this going as long as she can in her mind until she thinks that there's enough public sentiment out there that may carry over into some Republican senators
hope they're coming the other way.
going with the Democrats to impeach him, to remove him.
How did this play in America? How did this play this week?
I think we look at the polls. If you believe polls.
Look at the money being trumped in.
Oh my
into
God!
Trump. I sent $100.
The RNC is lighting up the coffers.
Whoa.
Well, I understand. We impeached Bill Clinton on December 19th. Okay, and
Isn't that interesting? Numbers.
And we impeached Donald Trump on December 18th. Bill Clinton was, it actually helped him in the polls. His polling numbers went up, so on and so forth. But they wanted, and I get so upset with the media. I actually say, there's an accessory to the crime. If you're driving the car, and the individual that takes the gun goes in, robs the bank, and comes back, and you drive the car away, you're going to court too.
Yeah.
So I'm not in favor of jailing journalists, but I'm in favor of some of these people going to prison as accessories to a crime.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do.
They're
I
treason
don't
too.
say
It's
that as
all
a joke.
plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't say that as a joke. I think there's some of them that should actually go to prison right with them.
It's truly unfortunate that people like Schiff have immunity,
Exactly.
where they can say anything that they want and get away with it.
Why does he have immunity?
And the people
Of
carrying
what?
his
Because he's
water
a House
know it.
member.
Oh,
The
well, he
people
can be
driving the
prosecuted.
car know it. The people that have the lights and camera action, they know it. And that bothers me. It's just, okay, so they wanted the split screen. They did it on purpose. The Democrats made sure that the impeachment vote came at the exact minute that he was on the stage in Michigan. And they put the split screen up. And they wanted that. They wanted you to see Trump in Michigan while he was getting impeached.
That is
But
just
what does it say?
sick.
What does it say in Michigan? Now he went to I forget where it was there, but it was actually Battle Creek, and that's Jason, or that's Amash, right? Is the name Jason Amash, or the independent, the Republican that turned independent that voted? He was the one independent vote for impeachment. Trump packed that place, absolutely packed it that night. What do you think? I asked it once. How do you think this is playing across America?
I think it's playing right into Trump's hands. I mean, I truly do. I think the people are fed up. They're tired of it. They're sick and tired of the lies. There was so much exposed during that whole impeachment hearing. That just doesn't ring true with people. Even Adam Schiff going back to his own district
I was going to say.
and getting hammered by his constituents.
I was on Twitter tweet last night, and they had
You were?
Yeah, they had this thing with shifty shit and shifty shit. How do I say that? Shifty.
I have no
Shifty
idea. I
Shifty
don't
Schiff.
know what.
Just keep it down. Leave the T's home.
Listen, you could say that, but you have to say SH asterisk asterisk. You have to throw
That's
two
right.
asterisks in
I
there.
got
so
tongue
people
tied.
don't
I
know.
don't know how it
You got
happened.
tongue-tied?
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, right. Roll it right out there, girl.
So then they were saying liar, 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 and I tweeted out, "This is a wonderful thing to watch over and over and over."
Please
And
put that in a loop.
loop. Yeah. And he just stood there. What could he do? But they were hollering and screaming, and it was delightful to see. I wonder what's going through his mind. What have we done? Do you think deep down they're saying,
No.
what have we done?
No, I don't.
So
not
they
in
have
his
no-
mind.
Yeah.
He thinks
They're all
he's
stupid.
he thinks he's the hero. He really thinks that he is a hero. And I loved it when Trump came out and described him. He's got some serious psychological issues. He must have,
You know,
growing up, he must have been.
You know, I got a phone call from a guy out in San Diego yesterday trying to sell me something. So I answered the phone, and he's from. I said, "Where you at?" He said, "San Diego." He's telling me something, and I said, "Well, let me change gears for a minute." I said, "Do you know who?" And this guy's San Diego, and you know, I might have just looked up and got a guy that paid attention, but I said, "Do you know who Congressman Doug Collins is?" And the guy said, "You'd have to live under a rock not to know who Doug Collins is." San Diego, California.
Pretty nice.
And he's our congressman. What did you think of his final speech there on the floor where he got wound up and went to preaching? I thought he was going to have altar call. My nerves were shot.
Who are you talking about?
Doug Collins.
Doug Collins.
I didn't get at the end.
Yeah,
when
rocking
he was
on
just
his
furious. He was furious. I did.
Yes. I thought it was good. You know, I'm sorry, folks. I am not advocating violence, but this may sound violent. This is the one time I wanted somebody to reach across the aisle. Like they say, I wanted Louis Gohmert to reach across the aisle and punch Nadler right in the head. I'm sorry, folks.
I wish he would have
Take that
kept
back.
coming.
Oh, ooh.
I have got.
I love Louis. Gohmert, he's not right. That boy ain't right. Louis is awesome.
I like the Kennedy guy from Louisiana. He's hysterical.
He is, and he is.
He's
one.
not dumb.
He's
I
not.
love that guy.
No, he's not. He just has a way about him.
But I'll tell you what, I enjoyed Drew Ferguson, congressman from here in Georgia. Did you see him on the floor?
I did.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
I really did. He said that we went to the ballot box and voted the political middle finger to the swamp. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
I have a theory on why Doug Collins, why he didn't go over to the Senate, why the governor did that.
Go for it.
Because he stays in the House. We take it. He will be the Speaker of the House. Do you know how powerful
hope
He's
so.
that
got to
is?
get past McCarthy first.
Oh, McCarthy's got to have a heart attack or something. I mean, he has got to get the flu.
I have no
McCarthy,
control
yeah.
over what they say. They don't sign deals saying they can't say. They can say whatever they want, folks.
He has just made such a
Brian's been
star.
saying the same thing, and I
He has?
I would love for him to be speaker, but don't forget there's one big stumbling block standing in the way.
Well,
And
that's what they
that's-
thought Hillary was for Trump to get elected.
Well, I don't
hear
want to
you.
guess.
I hear
I
you.
don't want to guess this, but if I had to, I think the president likes Collins more than he does McCarthy.
Undoubtedly.
I think he does. I
Yeah.
mean, I think so. Well, what about Mark Meadows saying he's not going to
What in the
return
heck
to?
is going on?
Going to work for the administration. He's going to work for Trump.
There's a lot of
implied that.
speculation that what say you?
I don't.
Well,
I
so
haven't seen-
speculation on the liberal side of the media this morning is he's going to take Mick Mulvaney's job after the first of the year. That's what I'm thinking.
Mulvaney's been doing what, 2 or 3 jobs?
Yeah, he's the secretary of the Office of Budget and
Finance.
or something like that, and he's also chief of staff.
Right. Yeah, he's been doing 2 jobs.
All right, so I think impeachment is not playing in America, and I think I think the true jurors will be the American people at the ballot box in November.
They're not impeaching Trump. They're impeaching me.
Right.
They're impeaching my vote.
Right.
They're taking my vote away.
You need to say that is actually what impeachment is nullifying your vote.
Exactly.
63 million votes.
Exactly.
Someone summed it up. The Democrats say, you don't get to vote. You don't get to choose anybody. We're in charge. If it gets off the rails, we're still in charge, and we decide. They don't care if it's a Republican Bush or a Republican, Reagan was fine, but they don't care who's the president because they run them all. I don't think they ran Reagan, but I think they had a lot of influence on Reagan.
Jane, I'm not a big McConnell fan either. However, he got a lot of rave reviews yesterday from some people that you wouldn't expect.
Oh,
like
really?
Rush Limbaugh thought he hung the moon on that speech yesterday.
It was,
and how he absolutely dismembered Pelosi.
Here's a little wiggle, though. You don't believe everything you hear, and you know how Bill thinks I should go to a loony bin with everything I'm reading most of the time. But so let me interject. I'm going to talk.
Lonnie, we need little graphics for Friday. we need every once in a while a graphic to pop up the loony bin, and we need the loony bin graphic and stuff. Go ahead.
If I can remember what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was saying. Oh yeah. Interlude, Tucker Carlson again had a guy on saying, yes, there are UFOs, yes, there are aliens, it's obvious. They're coming out with now, the Army or the Navy or the Air Force has said, yes, there are, blah, blah, blah. So I said to Bill right then, I said, if I told you that, you would send me to the loony bin, but you're going to believe it there. I said, I have known this for about 5 or 6 years.
He also said that the Russians and the Chinese pilots have engaged UFOs
and gotten killed
and have been nuked. Yeah.
So that brought me to what I was saying over here.
Full circle.
That was an interjection, and so over here, it was. I'll think about it.
McConnell. Have to do with McConnell. There's a
Yes.
little wiggle room in there?
Here it is.
Okay,
Good.
okay.
So I read, doesn't mean it's true, which led me to Bill thinks I'm a loony bin. There was a tweet in a talk with people that said they were in the know, that there are being secret meetings with some of the Republicans. The main one that's meeting is Pence. I cannot stand that man. Pence, McConnell, they didn't name just a few, and they're secretly meeting to decide if they're actually going to vote up and change the course of history. And that just sent chills down my spine.
Listen,
I just
could
hope
it be, after some of the things I have seen, could it be? I mean, my brother was on the show yesterday, and he was interviewed he's interviewed for a Reuters story that came out yesterday, a national story that came out in Reuters. That, is impeachment changing Trump supporters' mind? My brother's in the article from Reuters. Mm-hmm. But, we were talking yesterday, he was on my show, and, it's scary. He said, it's really scary. He said, people need to wake up. He said, Obama weaponized the IRS.
Right.
And Lois Lerner
literally
against
weaponized
us.
with guns.
He weaponized the CIA in Benghazi and weaponized the FBI. America needs to be scared to death that this man weaponized these agencies against us, not foreigners, us. And so, I'm thinking about that. Now, I will tell you this. I think Trump wins, and 11 months is eternity in politics. I don't know what happens. But, the media, they've done everything they could to talk us into a recession. It was only 3 months ago that we were bound for a recession. All the indicators, it was around the corner. It was going to dive. We have been told what a disaster Trump and China, he didn't have sense enough to talk to China. We're actually coming out of the top end on that. They don't report little things. The World Trade Organization court, right, Rick?
Gone.
Trump single-handedly did away with it. There's nowhere to take a tariff grievance. Trump did away with it. Oh, China, you don't like the tariffs? Where are you going to
Tough.
take it? Gone, right?
Yep.
They don't
Beautiful.
report any of this, right?
No.
And you look at this. Boris Johnson won a major conservative. He met with the Queen. The Queen, did she go to Parliament yesterday?
I'm not sure.
93 years old. She was going to Parliament to or make her speech, but he won a major majority over there, Boris Johnson. Now watch what's getting ready to happen, and this is why their heads are spinning off. They can't take it because they've invested in their world globalists.
New World Order.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
right?
big time. They're leaders
And
in
what
it.
happens, because Johnson says, we're out of NAFTA, January 31st, deal or no deal with the EU, we're out. So what did Trump do? Trump went over there beforehand, and we have, with our cousins, have put together a trade deal like you would not believe, right?
Did you mean he was out of NAFTA? Boris said that?
No,
What?
he's out of the EU.
Did I say NAFTA?
Yeah.
You meant the
I meant the
EU.
EU.
I know
He's
you
out
did.
of the
That's
EU.
what
All right,
yeah.
I'm sorry. But he's out. He's
Right.
out. EU
Right.
is done.
Right.
Okay. Now, Trump went over there and made a trade deal with Boris because everybody's saying, well, as soon as he gets out, it's going to collapse. The whole UK will collapse. But Trump said, hey, we're going to make a trade deal that no matter what you do, you're going to be okay. So when he went over to NATO for the meeting, what did he tell everybody? Oh, Boris Johnson is staying away from Trump. No, he
No,
wasn't
they
staying
had a
away.
little dinner
They
at
had
10
dinner.
Downing Street.
They had dinner.
And they worked out their trade deal.
Exactly.
That deal is done, signed, and delivered.
Now, what happens January 31st? UK walks out of the EU, does not collapse, does not have a disaster, and has a great trade agreement with us and other partners, and other members of the EU say, we might get out too. Trump is getting rid of globalist, World Trade Organization court. Now, Mitch McConnell, the thing that I give it, look at the Ninth Circuit district. He has turned it around. Trump's turned it around.
Already? I mean, I
Yes.
haven't been looking at
Yes. Oh, no. What is it, 170 some judges? Am I off?
No, I
He
think
has
it may be
changed.
more.
Well, those
Trump-
that's overall.
Overall,
Judges.
right.
All
But
the way
Judge Trump has changed the complete makeup of the judicial system in this country.
So people,
They can't take it.
Obama
say what?
left with 145 vacancies.
And
Right.
you ask why, and of course it was because Hillary was coming in, and she would appoint them. Yesterday I read
Exactly.
she would sell them, not
Exactly.
appoint them. She would sell those places.
You want to know why he's impeached? His head's spinning off. Their heads are spinning off. It's the Supreme Court. Now, the other night, I said this, I didn't say exactly, but I said this first. The other day, I did a complete story on this and talked about the judges. And then the very next night, I was out and I'm coming through the mountains, and the Great One was on. Who was that?
Mark
Love
Levin.
Thank you.
that man.
So the Great One was on, and he did the courts. And he said they impeach him, and now they're going to say, this is what Mark Levin said. He said they're going to, when they impeach him, now they're going to say he can't appoint a Supreme Court justice. How could you let a person that broke the law or a criminal himself, so that's their, and I said exactly, I've been telling people, I think Trump could have 5 Supreme Court justices,
He's going to. It's prophesied. Sorry,
and I think so.
it's going to happen.
But when it comes to Mitch McConnell, I don't like him, but as my dad always used to say, son, you don't have to like everybody to work with him. So I don't like Mitch McConnell, but I have to take my hat off and say, look at the judges.
Lonnie
Right?
comes to work every day saying that.
Really?
I had to see if he was paying
Yeah,
attention.
he's over there. He's trying not to. He's
Just kidding, Lon.
all right, but no, I'm
What?
serious.
I wasn't saying that. What? I was reading.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Look at the judges that this guy's gotten through. So
Yeah, it's not over yet. What? Why am I losing my train of thought?
McConnell.
Oh, here it is. Can I just say
Absolutely.
it now? So, the first time I heard McConnell and Lindsey, both of those are deep state, deep down. Lindsey made a deal or he'd be dead by now. That's an overstatement, but maybe not. So
I
that,
agree. He made a deal. I don't know about the contract on his life, but the deal I
yeah,
agree
the
with.
deal he made. So when they first came out and said, we're not having any witnesses, we're going to get it over there and shut it down. Vote the next day and it's gone. No witnesses. That is telling you they're scared to death too. I mean, they don't want any of this coming out because it's going to lead right back to them. And they're in a
You're absolutely
deep,
correct.
deep hole. And Lindsay said that again yesterday when I just got out from the president and he told me he wants his day in court. But what we're going to do, we don't want to, we just going to not have any witnesses. McConnell said the same thing. I'm thinking something is rotten in Blinken, Denmark. But another reason that Barr is coming out, I think, is a lot of people are saying they're running, they're terrified, they're in disorder, the Dems. They're just scared to death. And this is just another thing to just put the fear in them. I mean, they're just making mistakes all over the place.
You know, not to quote him, but it's somewhere around last week. You know, we are here on Friday, so last Sunday, James Comey just says he was right, I was wrong. I think right there on live TV, the authorities should have come in and handcuffed him.
Oh, wouldn't that been great?
No, I'm serious. Oh, he was right, I was wrong. And then he says, well, you know, look at how many times you renewed the FISA warrant. Well, there's so many levels to the FBI. I can't exactly be.
Let me tell you what happened last
my
night.
Seven
gosh.
levels down.
Let me tell you what happened last night on the interview with Martha McCallum with Barr.
That's
It's-
That
right.
came
it's
up.
good.
And he said, excuse me, that didn't happen.
He said it just like that.
That did not happen.
Right.
That was not being run 7 layers down. It was being run by a group of elites in the organization at
Exactly.
the top.
You
At
think
the
they're
top.
not quivering in their blinking boots?
That was right at the end of the, and I'm
Oh
just,
man, I almost stood up and walked around the kitchen.
you know,
on
I'm
that
like
one.
this driving. I said, I
With
knew
the
it,
sign,
I knew it,
yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, it's
Hey,
so
no, I
good.
like he answered that because, you know, when Comey said, well, even my mother-in-law was worried, are you going to jail? And I had to convince her, no, yeah, you are. Call your mother-in-law because you're going to jail. You know, Trump was correct. You know, they never come back and report anything where he turns out to be correct. There was illegal surveillance of his campaign, correct. You know, I think Rachel Maddow, you know, that took it all the way to the end. Adam Schiff said he had evidence of
Hard
this Russian collusion, and you go into and you hear you know, them talk about you know, Carter Page is an American citizen. I think everybody should be scared to death.
Terrified.
And it was, although we're not satisfied with what they said, but even the FISA court came out and made a statement on
The
you know,
judge did.
Very, very rare.
very
Yeah.
rare.
There was a female judge, and I think her name was Weber,
Yep, I think
if I'm
so.
not mistaken. She came out and blasted,
right.
I mean, blasted the FBI.
They're in deep trouble.
Well, I will say this, and I said this to people, and I don't mean to say it to where, like, say you understand it, but all law enforcement agencies, all the way up to the FBI, they take an oath, okay, and they have a trust level. I mean, you might think, well, the FISA court is this, and it's in a bigger building. It's the same principles. You have a magistrate over in Fannin County. If something happens at 2 a.m., you might have a law enforcement officer calling a magistrate out at 2 a.m. and presenting why they need a warrant to go do something. And there has to be a level of trust. And there's a lot of warrants that are given out across this country from whatever level with whatever law enforcement agency to where a judge has no choice but to trust the evidence that's been given to him or the information. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they give out a warrant. So I'm not upholding the FISA court, but I keep saying every time somebody says, oh, well, that's an Obama appointee judge. You know, I get it. But at the same time, this is an FBI that went in and said, look, you can trust us. The information is accurate, true. We need the warrant. And then kept renewing the warrant once they knew the evidence was, you know, invalid.
Bogus.
One thing about impeachment, I learned, well, I figured it was so, but it is. We can impeach senators, we can impeach federal judges, we can impeach Supreme Court justices. I mean, in
Yeah,
the
they wanted to- they
Constitution, it
wanted to
says
impeach
anyone
Kavanaugh.
who, anyone who
Their
acts-
nerves are shot.
They wanted to impeach Kavanaugh.
Yeah, you're right, they did.
Their nerves are shot. Because somebody takes the feather in every morning and puts it under Ginsburg's nose to see if it flares.
The mirror.
Yeah, the mirror.
Yeah.
See if there's any fog.
Is she fogging the mirror?
Anything,
I'll live with her another day.
anything particular or any subject we didn't get to this morning? We had a great conversation, but anything you wanted to make sure we brought up?
I came to you guys with that piece on Victor Hansen. And and you and I have talked about it. And I said I wanted to talk about it on the show just for a minute. It's an hour long, and I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
No, I saw it.
But he talked about, he helped me better understand the deep state, how they operate. Even though, we're all on the right path, how they operate. They're longtime, non-voted, these are public servants who are not voted in, who think that they should be running the country underneath the senators and the Congress and the president. Something that really struck a chord and was such a great analogy. The deep state looks at Trump like the country club elite in Caddyshack looked at Cervic, who was Rodney Dangerfield. Do you remember when he came on the scene in Caddyshack and he's got the flamboyant clothes? Hey, how you doing? Hey, oh, you look good this morning, even after electricity. And some of the lines in that movie. But the analogy that they made, the guy can't get accepted into a country club, so he goes and builds his own, which is exactly what happened in Caddyshack. And that's the way they look at him. They look at him as a loudmouth buffoon from New York that doesn't have any idea as to how this country runs. And it was such a great piece, and the whole 1 hour. I mean, I was just riveted to listening to him.
I wanted to listen to it. I didn't have time, but they didn't think that way of Donald Trump when he was a businessman. He had all this power,
And they were sitting in his office,
he was a good guy with the arm
looking
around.
for him to write a check.
Oh, right, but now
What did he tell the representative from Manhattan? Give me my damn money back.
Exactly.
You're in my office. Now you vote to impeach. Winners and losers.
Well, I think that the biggest losers, believe it or not, are the Democrats. I think they have.
You stole my.
Well, you do mine all
You
the
could.
time.
All right. Already.
Here we are, yin and yang.
I know, right?
Yeah, the Democrats have just stepped on their back toe. I'll tell you that, and I'm happy for that. Of course, all the country's a loser because of
Right.
all this shameful. But the Democrats are the biggest loser,
Got a
and
winner?
Trump's the biggest winner.
Biggest winner.
I mean,
There you
that guy is smoking.
I agree.
My loser was the Democrat Party as well. Good job. My winner is Doug Collins.
Nice.
Collins said, and I thought you may all appreciate this. Funny thing about obstruction, anytime, can you just see him? Funny thing about obstruction, anytime the Democrats get caught trying to frame the president for some crime he didn't commit, they follow up by accusing him of obstructing their efforts to frame him for the things he never did in the first place.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I mean, it was.
I want
how
that
does
on my wall.
How does that guy come up with? I mean, there's no teleprompter up there,
He's
and he
brilliant.
stood out there for how many hours? What, 13 hours?
I
I don't know how he did.
Well,
it.
I know.
That's why he's my winner.
I know him in a way that he is a worker, man. He is a worker. He is. He studies. He works. He's nonstop, and he's doing everything he can to get Republicans elected so they can win back the House. All right, guys. Bruce, when you get home, I have your Christmas present. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Merry
Is
Christmas.
there
Happy
something
New
in
Year.
here that we can
Nice, thank
monetize?
you.
Is it fungible?
We want to fyntv.com. Fetcher News want to thank you for coming every Friday, preparing, and we enjoy it so much, and it's great information. And, it's, to me, the time goes so fast as we just have a conversation. We hope you enjoy it out there. That's really what we do. We just have a conversation and never know from week to week who's going to get wound up. Never know week to week who's going to get on the nutty train. We never know from week to week what Rick's going to say.
But by God, we can say gamma globulin with the best of them this morning.
But let me say this, and then I want to close and say something to the audience. Don't ever think that because for several years now you've been coming and saying these little things. There's little bits and pieces of this stuff that's starting to surface. So you just keep doing all the research you want to do. In fact, that UFO convention that's in I thought that was a Democrat National Convention. I thought that's because they're out of this world. Folks, let me say two things, and then it's time for North Georgia Senior Living. But let me just say two things. Number one, everybody that did, I'm going to call this the and some, okay? Because everybody that did vote for Donald Trump in 2016 will go do it again. That's right, again. Now, what happened in 2016? Americans took a chance. They didn't know what this guy would do. You had conservatives like me saying, would he be a Manhattan liberal? There was a lot of unanswered, what would he do? So everybody in 2016 that went and voted for Donald Trump will again, and some. Because remember last time we had record numbers of senior citizens that had never voted before in their life, that had registered, and how many new people registered to vote because they wanted to vote for Donald Trump? It's going to happen again. People are moving towards the president because now they know. We'll just call it simple because I could do 2 hours on it. He loves this country. So everybody that voted for Donald Trump after this impeachment, and some, will go out and vote for him because it's going to be a landslide is my prediction, but 11 months is forever. They need Joe Biden to be the Democrat nominee. Whether he will or not, I don't know, but they need him to. Because guess what? They can't win against a candidate. They can't put anybody up that can beat Trump. The only thing they can do is say he stole the election. And if Elizabeth Warren runs, can't claim that. Peter Pan Buttigieg runs, can't claim that. But if Joe Biden runs and Donald Trump wins, which he will, they will claim there was a corruption and this is what caused Trump's win. It gets better. It doesn't stop.
Do I have a little bit of time?
You have 30 seconds.
Well, have you noticed that Biden's medical records have been leaked? He has a heart problem. He had aneurysms. That was something else that was almost a lobotomy back when. he had a, and he's not. He has lapses. Blah blah blah. And then you have Obama saying women are better managers than men. So everyone's saying that they're pushing Biden out, and then Michael is going to announce.
You and Jerry.
All right, well,
you and Jerry.
Jerry said it yesterday, didn't he?
Jerry, yeah.
My brother.
His brother.
Oh.
I said yesterday to my brother, I said, who will be the Democrat nominee? And he said, Michelle Obama. We got to go. Folks, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Jesse Barton, Community Relations Director at Cameron Hall, North Georgia Senior Living, right after these messages.